There we go. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Limitless. Desi and I are so excited to see everybody's beautiful faces. So we're going to start things off with a couple of questions. So drop a one in the chat if you currently are paying for leads or have ever paid for leads. So I'd like to see who's out there that's doing that right now. Okay, so just a few of us. Okay, now drop a two in the chat if you think about paying for leads or considering paying for leads. I think about it all the time personally. Anybody else out there very curious about it?
Quite a few.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, and then drop a three if this is if you don't even know how to use Google, you can't figure out how to use your Google Ads, you think about it all the time and you're just like, what the heck? I need to work on that. I need to watch a YouTube video later. That's totally amazing. I'm constantly like, I just need to YouTube that later and then I forget. So,
Can I
okay.
interject one that I just thought
Yeah,
about?
please. Yeah, please.
Okay, drop a four if you have heard someone in your brokerage say that buying leads is stupid and you can't be successful if you buy leads.
Totally.
Okay, that one always gets me.
All right. Well, we are so excited here to have Josh Reese, like the peanut butter cup. I couldn't find any today. I told him I was going to be eating one when I introduced him, but we first connected with Josh when Desi and I had him on our podcast, Agent Without Borders. And it was so cool because we were just totally blown away by Josh's knowledge. He has the most creative ideas and super practical strategies. Like every moment while we were talking, I was like, oh, wow, what about that? Oh, I love that. And I know Desi was like that too. And so we knew right away that we wanted him to be on our mastermind. So we're super grateful for you, Josh. He's a licensed agent in two states, correct? Two states,
Yes.
an author, a consultant, and a founder of a growing school community, which is so great because then you can access him after this. We'll let you know how you can find him in his Instagram account, and there's ways to connect with him. He's got a background in digital marketing, which means that he can help agents cut their ad costs, which we're super excited to learn about, boost conversion using the tools that we already have. So like our phones, we all love our phones, and I hope we're all creating content with our phones, and then consistency, which is key. Josh's approach is super simple, right? It's sustainable, and that's why we're all here because we need simple and we need it to be something that we can do consistently. So I'm super excited to introduce Josh Reese. Thank you for joining us, Josh. You're amazing.
So thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this one. So it's going to be fun.
So we're just going to let him take it away. And if you guys have some questions, you can drop it in the chat and we're going to have a Q&A afterwards because I'm sure things are going to twig while we're hearing what he has to say. So thanks so much, Josh. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I want to start off by approaching the subject of buying leads and not buying leads. I think it's a very polarizing topic within the real estate community, and it feels like we kind of have two camps, and it's either you have to buy leads to be successful, or you can never buy leads to be successful. And my personal opinion is there's no right answer. I don't believe there's no such thing as a free lead in real estate. I think in real estate, you have leads that cost money, and you have leads that cost time. And ultimately, I think the much better question that we should be asking agents instead of are you buying leads is are you getting your leads the most efficient way possible to achieve your business goals? And the reason that I think this is a lot more important is because when we start talking in absolutes with lead generation, it's normally going to be a losing proposition for the agent because everybody's in a much different position. We have solo agents, we have teams, we have people in Canada, we have people in the United States. All of those things greatly vary the way that you need to generate your leads. Um, my example on that is when I was a solo agent, I didn't need to pay for leads. Now, my backstory, I did pay for leads and found out that was not a good idea. But now, as a team leader, I have to pay for leads. I don't have a big enough database to feed my agents and keep them productive, which long term keeps them on the team. So I have to pay for leads. But now, since we've made that transition, the big question we're always asking is, are we getting leads in the most efficient way possible? So my background is in digital marketing. I started running Google Ads when I was about 13 years old. I had an aunt, fortunately, who was an entrepreneur. I was up there one summer and she taught me Google Ads. This was right around the time that Google started allowing small businesses to monitor and manage their own ad accounts. So that's kind of what got me into digital marketing. Um, when we got into real estate, we basically did what everybody else did. So we looked at the big high producing teams in our brokerage and we copied their business model. And when I say we at this time, it was just me and my wife. But what we found out really quickly is A, a lot of those teams actually weren't profitable. And B, their structure was not going to work for us. And a lot of it came down to we were totally overlooking our cost per acquisition. So what it was costing us to actually get that lead to the closing table, we were totally, not, we weren't paying attention to that. And what the kind of thing that turned me on to that was that I realized like we're selling these homes, but we're not making all that much money. And really, what we were doing is we were clearing enough to pay the lead generation bills for the next month. And it was kind of a humbling moment for myself as someone who comes from a digital marketing background and could run these ads, and we're doing e-commerce ads. um, I was like, wait a second, why am I paying all these companies? And part of it was because there was not really a good system at the time, to really kind of take an e-commerce type ad and run it in real estate to generate leads. Um, so that was kind of how I got into this whole thing. In 2018, we fired all of our lead generation companies and I started doing everything in-house. And I will tell you right now, if you're in that position where you're buying leads, especially as a solo agent, and you're making that transition away from it to be more profitable, it's scary. And there were multiple times about 6 months into this whole process that I just wanted to be like, nope, I want to call my Zillow rep back and get back in my zip codes because it's really common, and part of it is Zillow is set up that way. Zillow is set up so that you're dependent upon them. And so once you start paying that Zillow bill, especially as a solo agent, the first month you turn that off, your lead flow stops. And another key thing that I like to tell people too is when you do stuff on your own in a more efficient manner, you're going to extend your timelines for closings. So when we were doing Zillow, Realtor.com, and those type of leads, our closing timeline was like 2 to 3 months that we would get somebody in the pipeline and we close with them. What we're seeing now, and for a cost per acquisition standpoint, we were about 1/3 of our average commission for to get them to the closing table. Well, now we tend to have people in our database 12 to 16 months. And that number is actually going up now with the way the market shifted. But for context, our cost per acquisition now is like about 5% of our average commission. So each deal is much more profitable, but it does take a lot more nurture time in order to do that. And that's one thing that I think a lot of times we talk about social media, we talk about lead conversion, but we don't actually give actionable steps. And so that's one thing I want to give you guys today is 4 actionable steps that you can take, implement in your business tomorrow, and be able to start converting leads at a little bit higher percentage. The one thing NAR says is the average conversion rate is 0.4% to 1.2%. So if you think as a real estate agent, our goal should be obviously to do better than average, but just think about in your business, if you can double that and get it to almost 3%, what would that do for your bottom line? And now think about if you can double that and decrease your cost per acquisition on top of it, what is that going to do for your bottom line? And that's really where we adopted, a business strategy of small incremental changes that over the course of time are going to make a much bigger difference. Um, just to highlight 2 like actionable things that I can prove to you what I'm talking about. First one is when I first got into real estate, we started a YouTube channel, and I put out a YouTube video that was terrible. It was literally I filmed it with my iPhone on a stack of books with no light, no sound, no nothing, and a blank wall in the background at our brokerage. I filmed it. It was like a 5-minute video on our local market and some things that were going on. That video got 10 views. However, one of the views was a multi-million-dollar listing that I landed because of that video. And it was simply because at that time nobody was doing it. And so it got in front of the right person. And that's the first thing that I want to really like, I really want agents to understand is your views, your followers, all that stuff doesn't matter. We're so fortunate to be in an industry where literally one transaction can change your quarter. And if it's the right transaction, it might change your year. And so that's one thing that a lot of times when you're talking like e-commerce, when I started doing Google ads, we were talking, I was working with a lot of e-commerce and small businesses, and they're much different because they might only make $2 or $3 per product, or $100 per service. And so for them it's a much different model. But in real estate, just putting the content out there, not focusing on the views, you only need one good one. um, the other thing is just back on April 17th of this year, I put out a 1 minute and 40-second video. And it was basically me taking a strategy that was kind of made famous by Jimmy Burgess. Back, I think he originally started doing it in the early 2000s, called the CMA a day program. And I literally put this video out and I put a digital marketing twist on it. And the super interesting thing about this is he actually saw the video and he reached out to me. And because he reached out to me, my last 4 months have been kind of bonkers. It's led to a podcast interview with him, which that led me into being asked to be a contributor for Inman. So now I'm writing for Inman magazine, and all of these things. And it's all because one video, and same with that video. I think to this day, it still has less than 300 views on Instagram. So just because of that, it hit the one person that it needed to resonate with. They reached out to me, and that can happen to anybody in anybody's real estate business. So all too often I talk to agents that are like, well, I don't have followers, I don't get a lot of views. Who cares? I tell people all the time, even if you got 300 views on a video, how long would it take you to make 300 cold calls? And the other interesting thing about video too and social media is one view normally is not just one view, because if they watch one, they're probably going to start seeing your other stuff. So that takes me into my first kind of tactic or tip of the day. If you guys don't listen to anything else that I say today, take this one and use it, because I know Desi and Elizabeth both have used this since the podcast and it's worked for them. And it is basically anybody that you want to do business with, put them in your cell phone as a contact in your cell phone. What we're seeing is the social media platforms are now data mining our phones more than ever. And so what's happening is basically, and if you don't believe this, look it up on Instagram. In their user policy, it's right there. It says, the second that you verify your phone number and your email address with Instagram, it's going to start data mining your contacts in your phone to find people that you're connected with so that it can then suggest you to be friends with them. And now what we're seeing is a step further, not only suggesting, but they're just showing content with people that are in your contact list. So even if they don't follow you or anything, they're going to start seeing your stuff, and it's going to be start building name recognition. And we use this a lot when we're running our Google ads. The first thing we do when an ad comes in the system is whoever gets assigned that ad, they put that lead in their phone as a contact. The next thing they do is they actually call that lead, try to reach out. If they can get them, great. And I'm not going to go into like our scripting on how we convert those leads really today, but it's very simple. It's easy. It's like a 10-second phone call. But the big part of that phone call is at the end of it, we just say, hey, can I send you over a market update or something else of value that would resonate with the people depending on how they came into the ecosystem? And we have a couple different options. But then that agent is going to go into their phone, into their Instagram account. They're going to copy the direct link and they're going to send it as a text message to that lead. And the one thing that we're seeing is because they're data mining our phone, the social media platforms are now saying, okay, there's a contact that matches. He's also sent a text message, and then we have an email. So those are 3 points that most likely these two people are connected. So we're going to start showing your content to that person. So you've had one phone call with them that was probably very quick, if they even picked up the phone. But now the social media platforms are going to work for you to put your stuff in front of them, and hopefully that resonates. Um, Once again, this is something that if tested out, try this, call those people a week later and ask them, hey, did you see my stuff? And a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I've actually been seeing you now on my feed. And this is only made a lot more powerful with multiple platforms. So That's one thing. Put anybody in your phone that you think you want to do business with or work with, throw them in your phone as a contact. The other cool thing about it is when they do call you back, they feel special when you're like, oh, hey, how are you? You know who it is already. You're not just, you're trying to be not just another agent. The other thing about it that's really powerful is they're making instantly a voice and face connection. Voice connection is better than text, but if you can do voice and face through video, it's super powerful from a branding standpoint. So that's the first one that I like is the put everybody in your cell phone. The second tip I have for you guys today is using social media is not only a lead generation technique, but a lead nurture technique. And there's a couple ways that we're doing that within our business. And once again, we're kind of playing off the whole, like we talked with the first step of, making a connection on our phones. So the platforms are putting you in front of people more often. It's very similar to that. But the first way that we're doing that is utilizing a weekly market update video. So our agents, myself included, are recording weekly update videos and we're posting them to our social media accounts. And then as an agent, especially you're walking around the grocery store, you've got your brokerage shirt on, or you got a hat on, or whatever it is. What is one of the most common questions that we get at the grocery store? How's the market? This is a great way if you have that filmed in your social media account that when you're in the line at the grocery store, let's face it, you don't have time to sit there and tell them how the market is, right? But it's very easy to say, you know what? I actually filmed a video, a market update video this week. Can I text that directly to you? You get their phone number, you put it in their phone. All you do is go into your Instagram account, copy and paste that direct link again, and send it to them. So now you have their phone number, you have their name. Once again, they're in the ecosystem now with the social media platform. So they're going to probably watch that video. They're going to start seeing your stuff. The other thing that this does, and I'm a huge proponent of this, is building follow-ups into your nurture process because we've all been in that place as a new agent when you say, I need to follow up with this person, but I don't know what to say. And so you call them and I just want to check in or I'm just following up. We all know that doesn't work very well. It doesn't provide any value. But if a week from sending that market update video, you call them back and you say, hey, I sent you that market video and update video a week ago. I just wanted to see if you had any questions about it. It really opens the door. And once again, you've now got a phone call in their list. So we're leveraging that social media data mining that's going to put you in front of them more often. So another way that we're utilizing that is by doing every time we film a social media video, we look in our database and we say, okay, who do we need to follow up with this week or this, whatever the time frame is. And then I try, me personally, I tell agents you should do 10. I don't do 10. I'm kind of busy with some other stuff. So I do 5, but 5 is better than 0. So every video I film, I try to find somebody in my database that I think that video would resonate with. And it's a very simple text message of, hey, when I was filming this video, I thought of you, or filming this video made me think of your situation. And I really like to focus on the problem that that person is trying to solve with their move. That's my follow-up point. And then I'll send that video to them. And that's it. A lot of times they don't respond. Sometimes they do and say thank you. But now once again, I've sent them something of value and I have a built-in follow-up for like a week later. I can call them and say, hey, I sent you that video. What'd you think of it? It's a great way to stay in touch with your database, stay top of mind, but you're also providing value. And the other thing is you're keeping yourself relevant on their social media feeds. Because that's one thing that we are seeing with social media is it's becoming very fast where if you hop on TikTok, find some creator that you watch quite often, uh, for the next couple days, skip every one of their videos and don't watch it. What you'll see is very quickly you are going to go out of their they're going to come off your feed and you won't start seeing them. And it's basically because, the social media algorithms have realized like everybody's attention span is that of a goldfish now. And so if it's not relevant, they're just going to swipe past you. Well, if you send them a direct link to their cell phone, they're more likely to sit there and watch the whole thing. And that's going to get your stuff back into their feed and bring you top of mind again. So it's just a way to stay relevant on that platform. The other thing, and I normally say this, but first, I am not a social media guru. I do not know how to hack the algorithm. I have no desire to hack the algorithm. And if I did, I would not be talking to you guys right now. I'd be working for Google making millions of dollars a year. I think all too often we get sucked into too many people saying they've hacked the algorithm. My question and my thing is, if you really did that, you wouldn't be selling a course for $99 a month. When I'm talking about social media, this is everything that I've seen personally with our accounts and our agents' accounts. But I don't know, I really don't know how the algorithm works. And for the most part, all the platforms have pretty much said that the algorithms now are so heavy into machine learning that they're constantly evolving and changing. So even if you could figure out how to hack it, most likely tomorrow it would no longer be relevant. So I don't want you guys to think like I figured this out. I really don't. This is just what's working for us. So I get a lot of people that are like, well, how do you hack the algorithm? Don't even think about it. Just make the content and get it in front of people that it's relevant to. Um, so the next tip, number three, open houses. Open houses, I think personally, are one of the best um, lead generation techniques, especially for new agents, because they're pretty much free. It's a great way that a new agent can exchange their time for business without having to pay for it. The other thing that it does too is it gives you a great place to make a ton of content around open houses that once again is getting out. And right now, for whatever reason, at least in our market, open house content is really hitting locally very, very well, especially on TikTok. Local open house content is really getting to our local community very well, where a lot of some of the market update stuff we're doing seems to go a lot more national when we look at who's viewing it. But the open house stuff really tends to keep everything pretty local. So open houses are great. But the one problem that we have that I've seen is the sign up sheet. Everybody relies on the sign up sheet for leads at an open house. Now, I'm not telling you don't do a sign up sheet because it's just giving you another option to get information and to capture lead information. But I think all too often we rely too heavily on the sign up sheet and don't think outside of that. So, what we'll do is and there's a lot of things I do with open houses. I'm just going to go over one right now. But the one big thing that we'll do is before the open house, I'll go through and I'll film a real quick video walkthrough of the open house. Nothing fancy, nothing, crazy, just a real simple video walkthrough. And the reason I do this is it gives me a point to try to collect lead information at the open house because I'm very much the type of person. I sit in the kitchen, I let them come into the house, walk around. But as they're leaving, I'll strike up a conversation, which one of my favorite conversation ways to strike up is what's your opinion of the market right now? I think it's a great question to ask because the way they answer it will really kind of reveal to you, are they a buyer, are they a seller, are they both? What are their feelings about the real estate market? It gives you a lot of information about that person because you're asking for their opinion on it. So I'll try to strike up a conversation with them. And normally too, that it's a great way to like ask if they're working with an agent without saying, are you working with an agent? Because we all know that's like one of the dumbest questions you say. But because most of the time they'll give you your opinion and a lot of the time it's like, oh, I'm working with an agent. Okay, great. Um, but the next thing I'll say is, you're probably looking at a ton of open houses today because most people don't just go to one, they're going to go to a few. And I'll say, they kind of all run together. I actually filmed a video walkthrough on my social media account. Do you mind if I send you a link to that video so that tomorrow when you wake up and you're confused on which house was which, you can just watch that video and get a reminder of which house this was? And most of the time, people are like, absolutely, that's fine. And I'll send them once again, go into your social media account, grab that direct link code and send it directly to them. You have, once again, you get their phone number. You probably have their name. Hopefully you figured out what their name was. If not, there's ways to work around that one. But the other thing it does too is once again, you get a follow-up. It's a built-in follow-up piece because you can reach out to these people a week later. And a lot of times too, I'll even do this as, my fiduciary duty to my seller to provide value to potential buyers. And so a lot of times if they say, hey, I'm working with an agent, I'll say, hey, can I get your agent's name? I'd love to send this video walkthrough to your agent. The other thing that allows me to do then is that next week I can call their agent up and say, hey, your clients came through my open house. Did they have any feedback? Because a lot of times they won't tell you feedback in the open house, but they'll tell their agent, like, that house was a disaster. I don't want it. And then you can get that feedback for your sellers from the agent. So that's another thing. Even if they say they have an agent, a lot of times I'll try to get the agent. There's a ton of agents that see my social media stuff because I've sent them things like that before. So, but once again, you're just utilizing content that you're already making, because an open house walkthrough is a great piece of content organically to live online to show your authority within an area. But you're finding ways to use it in multiple ways so that you're making that one piece of content be as efficient as possible moving forward. Um, the next thing, the next strategy I have is, does anybody, I guess I should have asked this first, is anybody doing circle prospecting or like cold calling, anything, teams? Okay. Well, hopefully more you are. Um, so one of the things that is really cool, and we're using this with social media when it comes to circle prospecting, and also with our lead, like when we get a lead in from Google, that first phone call, like I alluded to, is very quick. But one thing that we're doing when we're circle prospecting is, before we circle prospect, we're filming a hyper local video to the area that we're going to be circle prospecting. So think, new parks being built, new schools, changes to the school district, changes to the city structure, anything like that that would resonate specific, hyper locally to those people. We film a video on it. And then when we're doing our cold calls, um, you know, let's face it, cold calling is great, but you have a very limited amount of time to really make an impression. And I think all too often when cold calling, agents go for like the kill shot, like right away, and they don't have rapport. They haven't earned the right to really have that type of conversation. So what we found is, hey, whatever, if you're cold calling based on like circle prospecting, we have a listing in the area or whatever, have a conversation with them real quickly and say, hey, I actually filmed a video that's hyper local to this community for whatever reason it is. Do you mind if I send it over to you? And most of the time, these people, like, you already have called them. They know you have their name and their phone number. And then we're always asking, we're still trying to get email addresses. Do you mind if I stay in touch through email? And then we just tack on, hey, can I text you a link? So now you have their name, phone number, email address, and you've got a link directly to their cell phone. Well, if they say yes, you have a cell phone. Because if it's a landline, they're going to tell you, actually, this is a landline. I can't get text messages. And then my next question is, oh, can I send you, what's your cell phone number so I can send you that link? Um, so once again, we've taken circle prospecting and we've put it into gone way beyond that. So now we're getting people, into our social media feed from circle prospecting, that as they're searching. And once again, it's just a follow-up piece. The other thing that we're starting to see too is how powerful social is becoming locally. And so, like, when you're circle prospecting, I think it's a great way to build up a local following of people on your social media accounts, because Google has been very clear with this, and I can't speak to all the other platforms, but Google has been very clear with all their advertising and with YouTube of really focusing on local brick and mortar. So they're actually ranking your Google search rankings now. For example, right now I'm in just on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. If I search real estate agent near me right now, it would give me people who have brick and mortar locations that are close to where I'm standing using my GPS data on my phone. Now, as I drive tomorrow, I'll be in Idaho. If I do it there, it's going to put up where I'm at. It's going to give me results based on who's closest to me there. So they're really focusing on local, to really kind of be more relevant to people. And that was one of the big complaints with why small businesses weren't adopting social media early on, is because the algorithms weren't advanced enough. And so a lot of businesses weren't making content because they're like, I'm a plumber in Portland, Oregon. A view from Maine isn't going to do me any good. And so they are really focusing on, and part of what's pushing a lot of this is TikTok. Um, in my opinion, TikTok has a far superior algorithm to Instagram. And I think just the proof is that Instagram is spending millions of dollars to try to figure out how the TikTok algorithm works. And there's a podcast, and I can't think of the guy's name, but it's super interesting. If you guys want to learn some of this about the algorithms and stuff, there's a podcast with one of the guys who was one of the original developers of TikTok. And he said they asked him the question of what is the biggest difference between Instagram and TikTok? And he said Instagram was built to be an advertising platform. And he goes, TikTok was built to be a shopping platform that we use video to get people to the platform. And so the big difference is that's why on TikTok there's not very many ads. They really have to drive people to TikTok shop because that's where most of their money's made. And what we're seeing is Instagram, one of the biggest complaints they have is too many ads. But because Instagram and Meta doesn't have any other way to monetize the TikTok and Meta platforms, they have to run ads to make their shareholders happy. Where TikTok, they just have to sell more products on TikTok Shop and they don't need to worry about ads. And so what we're seeing is it's all about value and keeping people on the platform. And one of the biggest ways they're doing that is serving up local content to people because local content, if you send somebody content from a realtor that's across the country from you, it's not going to resonate very much. But if you send them local content from an agent that's right in their neighborhood, there's a higher probability that that's going to resonate with them because it's local and they're going to watch it. They're going to stay on the app. So we're seeing a huge transition to much more local type, videos and stuff like that. I like to follow Gary Vee, and I think he's spot on. He says in 5 years, when you go to a city, you will start seeing all the content that's being produced in that city first before it starts showing you stuff. And I really think that's the direction we're going because it's all about relevance. And that's another thing too with this whole social media talk is relevance is so important. All too often in the world that I'm in a lot with Google ads and that type of stuff, we will see agents that are running Google ads. And let's say they're running an ad for Boise, Idaho. They're going to run an ad that says, homes for sale in Boise, Idaho. And then you're going to click on it and you're going to go to a landing page that says Eagle, Idaho. The problem with that is your bounce rate's going to go through the roof because people were expecting to see homes in Boise and now they're seeing homes in Eagle. Um, so that relevance piece is so important, but that also goes for lead generation too. And that's why social media is so good because once you start producing content, it's very easy for you to have a conversation with someone and they're going to spark something in your mind and you're going to go, I made a video on this just a couple weeks ago. You can instantly go back into that account, find it, and send them a direct link. And now you're relevant. And one thing I tell people is if you're struggling, like you have plenty of leads, but your conversion rate is bad, just like when I say conversion rate, I'm not even talking about to the closing table, but just conversion rate of like getting in conversations with people. It's because you're not relevant. Whatever offer you gave them that got them to sign up or reach out or whatever, that should be relevant to your follow up. And the second that you deviate from that, what's relevant, you're going to start losing people at a much greater rate. So, for example, I use this one. I was talking to an agent and they were having an issue where they were getting a lot of Google leads in actually for a pretty good price. Their company was doing a good job, but they were not really, nothing was coming from them. And they were calling them and it was good information. All that stuff was good, but they were like, I just can't do anything. And I said, well, what are you saying to people? And basically, they were running a very buyer centric ad. But then one of the first questions that they were asking is if they had a home to sell. Like I told them, I was like, let that work itself out. You're going to find out if they have a home to sell down the road. You don't need to ask about it in the first 10 seconds of the phone call. But he was basically using a script that he'd been taught a long time ago. And so but it wasn't relevant. They're a buyer ad. They clicked on a buyer ad, use that as relevance to build up, what are you looking for? Talk about the relevance of what area did they click on. That's the one great thing with Google, is you can see, like, I can see which keywords they clicked on to come to my landing page. So I know what they searched. So I can speak directly to that area, that relevance that they clicked on and they signed up for my website. Um, Ultimately, for me, it's really about producing the content, putting yourself out there, but more importantly than that, finding other ways to use that content than just expecting to put it on social media and expect that people are going to pick up their phone and call you. Find ways that you can utilize that content in other ways. we're not going to talk about it today, but using AI to repurpose your videos. So taking your video transcripts and turning those into blog posts, turning those into carousel posts for Instagram. I'm doing a test right now. I haven't told very many people this, but I'm calling it the 30 for 30. I'm posting 30 posts a day across all my platforms. For a month because I want to see what's going to happen. Part of it is I have a bet going with someone that they're convinced that if I do that, I'm going to lose followers because I'm going to overwhelm them. So far, I'm about a week into it, and everybody I've talked to, although I'm making 30 posts a day, I'm asking people how many of my posts you actually seeing, and they're like one or two. And it's because the algorithms are so good, they're not allowing you to get fed up with my content because you're going to leave the app. And so it's getting so advanced that it's basically a fail-safe of, you won't be overwhelmed. And I kind of thought of this because if anybody follows Alex Hormozy, um, he does like something like 42 pieces of content a day across all. It's like some crazy number. Now he has a team and everything, but when I heard that, I was like, but wait a second, like I'm not seeing his content very often for all the content that he's putting out. And I think what it is the algorithm knows that if I see too much of it, I'll stop watching his stuff. And so they're feeding it in a way that I'm not going to get overwhelmed. And that's the one thing with Google and all the the amount of anytime we're putting any of those algorithms in a box anymore, it's a losing proposition. They are so advanced, and they are so good at making money off of us and our data, that you're not going to outthink them. You're not going to do anything. So don't overthink it. Just make the content and put it out there. The whole goal of the platforms is to put it in front of people that it will resonate with, and they're going to find people. Now, it might not necessarily be in your target audience, and that's where, like, kind of working on defining your target audience down the road will become important. But if you're looking at how to start, just start putting stuff out there and then start utilizing it within your daily follow-ups, start utilizing it within your email marketing. That's another great way to use those videos as links in your emails. So we all do nurture emails, to some extent, even if it's just through your CRM. Put a link to those videos like in your signature line. When you are talking about something in a nurture email campaign that you've made a video on, put the link in the email. um, the other thing that we're seeing right now is as of July 10th, Instagram finally is now being indexed by Google. And that's one thing that's huge because one of the big things with SEO are backlinks and linking other pages. And I won't get too in the technical side of that, but basically, by you linking your Instagram videos in other areas of the internet, that's going to key Google that it's more relevant and you're going to get more search traffic to your Instagram videos. It's going to be really interesting to see how that change affects people's views. I really think what's going to happen where it used to be an Instagram reel had a lifespan of about a week organically. Um, I think what we're going to start seeing is that gets bumped way out with the search now, where people can search it and they're going to start seeing your stuff more similar to what we see on YouTube, where a YouTube video, if it has good SEO, it's relevant for a couple years. I still have videos that I made when we were back in Oregon, because I was doing for a really small niche. And I still get phone calls from those videos, and I have not posted that account in almost 3 years now. But I actually just got a referral from that because I made a video on Forest Service cabins, and someone from Minnesota called me, and I was able to connect them with an agent there that was knowledgeable in that area. So I think that's what we're going to start seeing is Instagram is going to become a lot longer term, where evergreen content is becoming a lot more important, like it is on YouTube. So yeah, I
Sorry,
see a
just a
hand,
quick
Desi.
question. It might be dumb. So like, do you need to do certain hashtags or how are those videos?
So I'm going to defer to if you guys don't follow Adam Masori. I think that's how you say his last name. He is the CEO at Instagram, and he does some phenomenal videos on the what. And his thing is hashtags no longer will get you more reach. Because the words are being looked at, they will help you kind of get to a target market. So he said, you don't need to stop using them, but they're not going to extend your reach. So the big thing with that now is making sure that your captions, within like the captions on the post are SEO optimized. for the keywords that you're trying to target. And then on static posts, actually, there's a feature. If you scroll down when you're doing a post to like more options and then scroll down again, there's a little thing called alternate text. What alternate text is it actually was used originally to help people who are visually impaired. They have this special like thing on their web browser that will read to them what a picture is and describes it. But that's one of the things that search engines also, they're data mining that data and the metadata data of the website to help classify the website to know where it falls in. So you can now add that data onto your Instagram post. Now it's only for static posts, so image posts and then carousels. But you go down there, and then if it's carousel posts for each slide, you can type in alternate data or alternative words. I forget now. But you can, and basically what I tell people is for that, think about someone who's visually impaired, describe the photograph in words. So this photo or this is a photo about, and then use keywords for who you want to attract about the housing market in Boise, Idaho. Or this video is how to sell your home faster. I'm big on location keywords. So this how to sell your home faster in Ontario. So putting that in will really help boost. Now, all of these things like SEO is a big thing that we have a tendency to think like if you SEO optimize your website, you're going to drive all this traffic to it. That's not the case anymore. It takes a lot of time. And so I don't want people to think like if you start doing this on your Instagram account that all of a sudden you're going to go from 5 views to 300. But once again, it's that whole small incremental changes over a long period of time. Because if you go from 5 views to 15 views and one of those 10 people that sees it is a paying client, it was worth the extra 15 seconds to put that little bit of text into your photo. Um, so ultimately, that's really all I have for you guys today. Um, I want to open it up for questions though. If anybody has anything, I'm more than happy to talk. We can open up to
I had a
anything.
question. Just it was
Yes.
on the lines of the Instagram SEO kind of thing where people go back into the alt text. So I've been doing this and I don't know if it's working or worthwhile, but going back into my previous stationary posts and like then I add in alternative text to kind of like build off of those because I had so many reels and we weren't doing carousels as much, where carousels are becoming more common because they're talking about they're getting more reach. But is that something you'd recommend, is like going back into those old posts and like adding that alternative text?
I would, just because it's something that's very quick to do.
Mhm.
And it's the other interesting thing is, and I think we talked about this because you asked me, can you go back? And I said, I don't think you can. But, and I looked, and that day I was not able to. And then you told me the next day I was just able to. And I went back in, and Instagram had actually updated. To
Oh,
me,
okay.
that's a clue. If they're updating their platform that allows you to do something, it's because there's something valuable with it. So as soon as I was able to, I started going back through and adding it. I would recommend it. It doesn't take that long. And once again, even if it gets you one more view on one post, but that's the one you need. But I think you also have to look at your whole account as kind of like a website. And the more that you can do for SEO, the more exposure it's going to get the whole account. So I don't think it's a bad thing. The interesting thing about it is I know with web pages, when you do SEO optimizations on a web page, it can take like the Google bots like 30 or 40 days sometimes to crawl and get that new information. I don't know what the turn time is going to look like on Instagram, especially where this is new for the entire platform. I'm
Mhm.
really thinking we're not going to see the ramifications of this for probably 6 months because I think it's going to take Google a lot of time to crawl. From what I read, they're going back to post as far as like I think 2014.
Oh, wow.
Um, that it's crawling everything from 2014 until now. Obviously, with present stuff being given the priority, but I really don't think we're going to know the ramifications for quite a while on what this SEO is going to do and how it's going to change the Instagram. Other than it's going to get you more exposure in one way or another. So.
Right. Okay. Hey, Matt has his hand up. Thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
There we go. Hey there. So thanks, Josh. I have been doing PPC for years and have a ton of people that are engaging on the site, but aren't, engaging with me when I reach out to them or send them things or whatever. So do you have any, advice for really old leads to kind of get them
Um,
into the mix?
yes, and you're probably not going to like my answer because some of them are going to unsubscribe because of this. Are you predominantly just doing right now with those old leads like email?
Email, text, call, whatever I have available for them.
So the one thing, one of the best emails you can send out to your stale database is subject line, should I unsubscribe you? Question mark. And
Mhm.
then just very quickly, hey, I don't like to send things to people that's not relevant to them. Are you still interested for homes in this area?
Mhm.
And leave it at that. A couple things happen. First of all, the ones that aren't interested are going to tell you, and you can clear them out of your database. I know from a PPC standpoint, I hate that because I paid for that lead and I don't want to do that. But the one thing about them is getting too many people in your database that aren't opening your emails is going to tank your open rate on the email side of things. So it's going to affect your
Mhm.
ability for the people who are relevant. So you are going to lose some leads with this. But the other thing it's going to do is people are going to start responding because there are probably a lot of people in your database that are they're still relevant. They're still interested in whatever the landing page was, the area that they signed up for, and they're no, I still want to keep them. What that's going to do is that's going to kind of re-engage them, A, for you to kind of know who's still interested, and B, it's also going to re-engage your open rate and your engagement rate on your emails and start allowing your CRM to get into more email boxes. But the other thing that I like to do too is reach out to those people. If are most of them, would you say you have phone numbers or are they just like emails?
Lead 50-50.
50-50. I will a lot of the times reach out to them and just say, "Hey, you've been on my website for a long time." And I'll film some type of video that will resonate with that, and then I'll just send it to them, like social media wise. And a lot of times what we're seeing is, if they're still interested, they're going to reach out in some way, shape, or form, even if it's liking your post that you send to them. Because that's the thing to me, a
Mhm.
lot of lead generation is just about obtaining data from your leads to figure out what your next step is. And so a lot of times I'll send them a social media video, right? They won't respond to the text, but then in that social media video, they'll like it. And I'm like, aha, you saw it. Now you're re-engaged. So now I know at least where you're at and I know where you stand. So now in my database, in my CRM, I can just drop a note like they liked a video on this date. So I know it's something that I'm saying is still relevant to them. And then a lot of times, like
Mhm.
I will clear people out. And I know a lot of agents, they don't do that. My thing is, especially if you're a new agent, you don't have a big database, but now like for our team, our database is big enough. I don't want to be like, I would rather filter through the people that aren't going to do anything. And there's those people out there that just like to look at houses. And that's one reason I'm so against like Facebook ads for top of funnel leads is because
Yeah.
they lack the intent piece.
Mhm.
So I have a tendency to get people out of there, and I know that there's a lot of people that don't agree with that. They say, "Well, no, keep them in your database and give yourself a chance." To me, that's more noise that I have to filter through. Now, if you only have a database of 100, I probably wouldn't. But we all get to that point in our career where we've got those databases that are like 8, 9,000 people, sometimes more. As a solo agent, you're like, there's no way you're going to even deal with all those. So I think sometimes cleaning them out is the best bet. But I really like sending a social media video, or even a post. If you're not great on video, do just a post and send them a direct link to that post. Or on Facebook, if a lot of people do Facebook, share the post with them and see if they like it, see if they respond to it in that way. So that would kind of be my just re-engagement. And if you can't re-engage with them, I don't have a problem, just dump them. So probably sounds bad, but I think that's also the big difference too for us when we transitioned away from paying $2,500 to $33,000 a lead through like Realtor.com and Zillow to paying $8 to $12 a lead back in the day. It's a little more now on Google. I was a lot easier for me to dump a $12 lead than it was a
Mhm.
$2,500 lead. So
Right.
that's the
Yeah, I've
other
been
thing
there
too
too.
with yeah. With Google, you know, that's one thing I like about the Google platform for top of funnel leads. And once again, if you're a solo agent, I don't think you need to do this. I think you can work a very successful business as a solo agent without doing any like paid leads. Um, but if you are doing them, it's a lot easier to dump a $10 lead than it is a $2,500 lead. So
Hmm. Thanks.
Is there anybody else with questions out there? Did you drop them in the chat or? All right. Well, Josh is pretty easy to get a hold of. I know Desi and I have been reaching out to him with questions since we had the opportunity to have a interview with him on our podcast, which has been like the podcast amazing because there's so much good information. And then like today, thank you so much, Josh. I mean, I took little notes while we were going through it, but we're gonna send out a recap to everybody that signed up. So you'll get the video and you'll get a summary of the notes. And then also anybody can reach out to you, right, Josh?
yeah. With the email, I'm going to send Desi and Elizabeth both Dropbox link to. I have a bunch of guides that I've created that my whole goal with them is just to get them into agents' hands. And they're all lead generation, basically, different ways that we've done stuff that's worked really well. So I'm going to send that out so you guys can feel free to download all that stuff. I just put my phone number in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm traveling the next couple days, so it might be a little hard to get a hold of today and tomorrow. Um, but then also my Instagram, which was in the chat at the very top, there, if you click on my profile, I just changed my link to my digital business card. So you can go follow me on Instagram and then take my digital business card. I'm also on TikTok, YouTube. If you look up real estate broker Josh, that's my name on all the platforms.
Love that. And the other thing I was thinking is 30 for 30 sounds a little crazy and intense, but
I don't,
maybe we should all do a challenge like 10 for 10.
yeah. Well, and I actually think one of the best, if you want like challenges,
Yeah.
is basically film 3 videos a week.
Okay.
Every week, send those 3 videos to 5 people. Each video, send it to 5 people in your database,
Love that.
and do that for 90 days. And then, so week 1, you're going to film 3, send 15. And then week 2, the only difference is you do the same thing, but you call the 15 people that you sent them to the week before and ask them
Mm,
about that video. Ask them if they have any questions. And that's it. Do that for 90 days. And I will bet you that you will really, it will really help with, especially your nurture process. It's probably not going to drive a ton of followers, subscribers, and all that type of stuff, but it will really help with you getting in front of people, and having those conversations. And that's really like, a lot of people like come to me and they think the they think lead gen is all about like how do you convert the lead and how do you get the lead. And my thing is, it's lead gen is all about having an opportunity to get opportunity down the road. And that's all it is. It's, I think all too often we try to overthink it, but you really want to position yourself in a place where you provide so much value when they don't need you, that when they do need you, there's no question who they're going to reach out to. So, that's one that it's 3 590. You can do pretty much everything.
590.
Um,
Okay.
and just the other thing too, if you guys want to watch me along, what I'm doing with the 30 for 30, I'm actually posting, you can watch kind of the progression. I'm posting on Instagram threads. I'm taking my best performing threads from the day before and I'm making the videos. And then I'm taking those videos, I'm making them into carousel posts. And then I'm taking those carousel posts and I'm making them into individual quote cards. So it's really not that hard to get 30 pieces of content a day. So if you want to follow along, it's been a fun. So far, I'm like positive on my subscriber count. I've lost a few, but I'm still gaining more than I'm losing. So we're going the right direction.
Quick question before we let everybody go. What AI are you using to do that? You had mentioned back in the talk that you're using AI to help you kind of break apart your content.
Yeah, Chat GPT is what
You
I'm
are using
using.
that?
And actually, I'm pretty sure in the Dropbox link that I'm going to send out, there's a guide in there that has all the pre-made prompts in there. So you can literally take your video transcript. So I use the captions app, and part of the reason I use that is because I can take the transcript straight out of there. And then you can dump it into a note on your phone. And then I just take, there's a list of prompts that will be in there that you guys can download, copy and paste that prompt in. You will have to obviously include your location and then modify the prompt a little bit to be more relevant to you and your market. And then you just put the video transcript in. And like for the carousel post, it basically says slide 1, gives you a title, gives you the text. And then I just go into Canva, I copy and paste those into each slide. And so I can crank out 30 pieces of content right now. It's taken me about an hour a day to do it. So, and the other cool thing that I'm finding is because I'm testing everything out in threads first, I'm able to filter through like all the threads that I'm posting that day. A lot of them don't hit, they don't resonate. But if I'm
Mhm.
taking the best and I'm making videos out of those, I already have a test that that's kind of going to resonate with the platform a little bit. So,
Love it. Thank
testing
you.
and
Oh my
optimizing.
gosh. There's just so
Yeah.
much. I feel like we need to
Yeah.
have you back and we can
Huge.
just talk about that specifically, or just pick one thing that we're going to talk about because you like kind of blew it up today. So thank you
So,
so much, Josh. Hope
absolutely.
everybody got some great value out of that. And thanks everyone for coming today. We really appreciate you. We'll see you next month.
See you guys
Oh,
later. Thank you.
shameless plug really quick. If you guys want to come to the Agents
Oh,
Without Borders
yes.
Boise, we're giving all of our AWB members a discount code. So DM us to get the discount code, and the link to sign up is going to be really, really good.
It's
So,
going to be
I might be
incredible.
there.
I
and
can't
Josh,
wait. Are
in
you?
Maybe. The 18th is my anniversary, so there's some finagling we're gonna have to do. But
Bring your wife
I'm
to Boise for your anniversary. It'll be romantic.
yeah. Well, and if anybody if you guys don't mind, I'll September 16th, I'm speaking in Coeur d'Alene. So if
Okay.
anybody is in Idaho, I'm speaking in Coeur d'Alene. It's gonna be at the Coeur d'Alene Real Estate Association office. It's a free event, but I'm speaking there. So if anyone wants to come to that, I'll be there.
Love it. Thank you so much. Amazing. We really appreciate you guys.